Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood.
Newtown.
Hoover Dam.
How many more?
The idea of Fallout began with Interplay Productions' Wasteland, released in 1988. At the time, Interplay was not a publisher and used Electronic Arts for the distribution of the game. According to Interplay's founder, Brian Fargo, they wanted to explore the post-apocalyptic setting and produced Wasteland for that. Sometime after release, Interplay decided to shift focus and become its own publisher, while still developing its own games. Fargo wanted to continue to use Wasteland intellectual property,
Yeah?
but could not negotiate the rights back from Electronic Arts.
Yeah, but I...
Still wanting to do something in the post-apocalyptic world, Fargo and his team decided to make a new setting and game, determining what aspects of Wasteland were positives, and then wrote and developed the new game around it, ending up with the first Fallout game, released nearly 10 years after Wasteland in 1997. Fallout is a series of post-apocalyptic, fun-as-hell video games, set during the 22nd and 23rd centuries, with its atom punk, retro-futuristic setting and artwork influenced by the post-war culture of the 1950s. A combination of hope for the promises of technology and the lurking fear of nuclear annihilation. Fallout quickly stuck in the minds of gamers and subsequently created a phenomenon we see today. After the success of Fallout 4 and the radiation-soaked Fallout 76,
Look at me, look! Beep-bop-boo, did beep-bop-boo!
what of the future?
West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is all there, older than the trees.
What about Fallout 5? Where should the next big sequel be located? A location that can capture the feeling of the 1950s post-war America, and a new interesting environment for players to explore that hasn't been done. This question really goes to show how much New Vegas really nailed everything. It took me a while to find something, but I think I finally settled on location. Chicago.
Chicago!
The sprawling, windy city on the lake was not always what it is today. Now, bear with me.
The Bears!
Back in the 1940s and 50s, Chicago was a complete industrial powerhouse. During World War II, the steel mills in the city of Chicago alone accounted for 20% of all steel production in the United States. The city produced more steel than the United Kingdom during the war, and surpassed Nazi Germany's output in 1943, after barely missing the mark in 1942. It's like they formed some sort of brotherhood of steel. Displaced World War II veterans and immigrants from Europe created a post-war economic boom. But I can see you're asking me, where does this fit in with Fallout 5?
I don't get it.
To start, we have to go back to December 2nd, 1942, beneath the bleachers of Stagg Field at the University of Chicago. This is where Italian-born Nobel Prize-winning physicist Enrico Fermi created the first nuclear chain reaction, ushering in the nuclear age.
Hey, don't mind the smell. I was just testing a few chemicals.
Now, I don't feel like I need to explain why this is important to the topic of Fallout. Chicago brings a sprawling city with plenty to see and to hear. From the skyscrapers of the post-war world to the jazz and blues-soaked streets, Chicago could deliver the nighttime feel of New Vegas with the crime and seediness of a true metropolis.
Smooth skin.
Gangs and other criminals could rule the streets and establishments, perhaps themed off the Al Capones of yesteryear, and the towers of the city skyline could be run by the tenpenny types. The disparity of the people within the city could be a great place to reintroduce the karma system, which was lacking from Fallout 4. The karma system really makes you feel like your choices actually have an effect on the world around you.
My head's still ringing from that explosion.
If you go about murdering everyone,
Good morning.
you'll get yourself a nasty reputation, and people will view you and treat you differently as a result. It helps to add a deeper level of immersion to the RPG aspect of the series, and makes you think twice about the choices you run with. Become a kingpin of Chicago or a city freedom fighter.
Another settlement needs our help. I'll mark it on your map.
A lot can be done with a city like Chicago, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be all that different from what we've seen in the past. Keep with the themes of the previous titles, perhaps a darker tone like Fallout 3 minus all that brown. Maybe add some co-op, and you got yourself a pretty decent game.
Dylan! You son of a bitch.
In my opinion.
No! No!
But what do you guys think? Where do you think the next Fallout should be located? Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.